Shalom. Before I begin, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rakah HaKodash, giving double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS, and peace and salutations unto the elect, the house of David, the 144,000, and the scattered elect throughout the four corners of the earth, to USA Shalom. I go by the name of Tawal Payah from the Providence, Rhode Island camp, and Lord willing, I go into an edifying lesson dealing with the resurrection. I'm not gonna be pulling out any scriptures or anything, but I'm just gonna kind of go over what I've been looking into in the past 24 hours, and really been heavily reading the Maccabees, first Maccabees, second Maccabees. It's very, very important history when it comes down to Israelite history. Who was an Israelite? An Israelite is a descendant of a man named Israel, who his name was once Jacob. All right, which he is the son of Isaac, which is the son of Abraham. And that lineage is very important. Knowing the history of it, knowing the customs that they had partook in, and why it matters. Why it matters to read. It matters because it's a part of history that has been kept hidden. It's been kept hidden from the world, because when it comes to the talks of the Bible, specifically I'm gonna talk in regards to America. People talk about the Bible, they never talk about the Maccabees. They never talk about the Greek history. They always want to talk about Jesus Christ, and nothing else. They want to talk about Jesus Christ. They want to talk about Abraham. They'll mention Moses here and there, but you'll never, going into a church, never hear about the story of the Maccabees. But continuing, right? So while I was reading the Maccabees, I noticed that the author, what he was doing, he was summarizing certain accounts. All right, and there were particular accounts that he was going into that mentioned the resurrection. All right, now, if you don't know about the Maccabean time period, the history of it, this is during the time of Alexander the Great, to kind of give you a good idea, because Alexander the Great is like a prominent figure in America. So just so you can get an idea of like the time period, around Alexander the Great, all right, Maccabees and all of that really started a revolt after his death and whatnot. But sticking to the point, dealing with the resurrection. So when it came to the times where the Jews, the Southern Kingdom, when they were getting persecuted by these Greeks, they thought about the resurrection. They thought about what was written in the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, how some were going to wake to everlasting life, some were going to wake to everlasting shame and contempt. They understood the concept of the resurrection. They knew about the stories of Enoch, how he got translated. They knew the story about Elijah, how he got translated, or he got beamed up. And they knew of the wisdom of Solomon as well. All right, Solomon was the wisest man on the earth when he was alive, knowing righteousness and folly. All right, you can read about that in Ecclesiastes, which is he is the author of that book. Solomon himself understood that there was going to be a point where that even the dead shall be raised up with immortality. That's Wisdom of Solomon 3. So why am I saying all of that? Why am I going into the resurrection? Well, it's important to believe in the resurrection, because if you don't believe in the resurrection, then you don't believe there's a way out of here, in a sense, right? There's a way out of there's a way out of America. There's a way out of wherever landmass you are, and that's, you know, you getting resurrected by getting translated, taken up into a chariot of the Most High Yahweh, and being changed, being given a new body according to the second covenant. They knew about the second covenant back then, you know. So nowadays you got people that don't believe, which, hey, the Apostle Paul made mention of how you should believe in the resurrection. He going back to was it 2 Corinthians 15 or maybe 1 Corinthians 15. All right, that whole chapter is heavy. But shit, man, being changed in the twinkle of an eye is what he said. I think around the 50th verse, around there. But look, hey, Yahweh Shai, there was an account dealing with Yahweh Shai when there was a woman that he questioned. He asked her if she would believe that, you know, I think her son had died or something. He had questioned if she would believe the fact that he could resurrect that child. And she was like, oh, I know you can. You know, the fame of Yahweh Shai went throughout the earth. And what I mean by fame is his works. And people knew about this Yahweh Shai guy. You know, he was doing things that people couldn't believe, and the only thing they could come to the conclusion of was that he is the anointed that they've been waiting for. You know what I'm saying? And so what ended up happening was, in that account, Yahweh Shai ends up telling that woman that he is the resurrection. You know, like, while he was there on earth, he was able to resurrect the dead. He was able to do that, and he's gonna do it again. He's gonna do. Oh, matter of fact, when he had suffered on the cross, right, when he had died, the dead from, you know, the burials or whatever, they ended up coming out of their graves. It's another example. But when Yahweh Shai returns, those that died in the Lord, those that died as a martyr, you know, stood fast and held on to their faith dearly, they're going to be risen first. So we have an understanding of the resurrection. When I say we, I'm referring to the hopeful elect. We have an understanding of the resurrection. We should not fear those that come to persecute us. We've been warned that the persecution is coming. We've been told how it's going to play out. And knowing these things, what manner of persons are we to be? See, the woman in the book of Maccabees, 2 Maccabees, I think it's chapter 7. The woman, and she had to face her 7 sons. You know, she had to deal with her 7 sons dying right before her. You know, talking to one of her only sons that were alive. She was encouraging him. She was encouraging him to stand firm in the faith because he was going to be resurrected. She believed that. She believed that he was going to be resurrected back there. So, you know, it's a powerful story to read because it's a faith booster. We're going to be approaching a time where you, as a human being on this earth, are going to be forced to make a decision between taking an RFID microchip, implanting it into your body, just so you can be a productive member of society, or die. That's going to be the 2 choices you're going to have in that moment. Take the chip or die. Which one? Which one do you choose? Just like how it occurred back in the times when, in the Maccabees. If it's either you profess yourself to be a Greek, or you die, get tortured. You know, this is the time that we should be prepping ourselves. This is the time that we should be, you know, prepping ourselves heavily. Matter of fact, let me do this. I don't know if I like this spot right here. Yeah, nah, I don't really like this spot right here. Excuse me. So we're gonna be it's too tight of a turn. Let's just park it right here. We're gonna be faced, man, with the tough decision. Which honestly, I only say tough because it's gonna play at the flesh. You know, your flesh isn't gonna want to be getting tortured. Your flesh isn't gonna want to be watching people get tortured, especially your own loved ones, because they're gonna use your loved ones against you. I'm saying when I say they, I'm talking about the Edomites. They're gonna use your own loved ones against you, man. Hey, it's gonna be tough watching that. It's gonna be tough seeing that. But keep the faith in Yahweh Shem Shai that they'll be risen up. You know, they'll be risen up because of what you've done as a hopeful elect, woman, you know, man, child. You know, it's written in the Dang, why am I acting like I can't drive today? I'm trying to do this lesson at the same time. But let me do this. Look at Moses, man. Him and his house got delivered for a particular purpose. Right? Him and his house got delivered. And that was all Moses. But the Lord gonna have mercy on who he had mercy on when it comes down to it. So we just gotta pray and hope that Yahweh Shem Shai keeps us in his heart, keeps us in his wings, protect us from the evil. Yeah, I'm gonna cut it short there. Pray and hope this lesson was edifying. I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, B'Shem Rakah Kodash. Shalom.